3 stories, 1 relationship, and 1 mistake that changed everything. This is the complete story of Nick and Noah. Sometimes the person you're supposed to hate is the one who understands you the most. She moves into a new house, a new life, and meets someone who changes everything. Their attraction is intense, dangerous, and absolutely impossible to ignore. This is the story of My Fault. At the beginning of the film, we follow the main character, Noah. She's packing her things, and at that moment, Rafaela's voice is heard from the stairs. The heroine is getting ready to leave, but at the last moment she grabs from the table her photo with her father. Together with her mother, Noah travels many kilometers. Rafaela tries to start a conversation, seeing that her daughter is angry. However, Noah had to leave everything she knew and loved. Rafaela explains that she loves Will, the man they are going to now. The heroine reminds her that she also loved Dan, but her mother took her away from him. Rafaela advises her daughter to accept the new life and try to deal with her anger. Soon the car arrives at the villa. She argues with Martin, who tries to take her suitcase. Will greets the heroine warmly and offers to show her the house. After the tour, Rafaela brings her daughter to her room. The woman asks her not to worry about Nick, Will's son, and to feel at home. Rafaela says she wants to give Noah the best life possible. Left alone, the heroine unpacks her things and takes photos with her new expensive dresses. She talks on the phone with her friend and says she literally feels embarrassed by all this luxury, especially by the thought of the upcoming dinner on the yacht. The heroine goes to the kitchen and jokes that there's probably no simple sandwich in this house. She bumps into Nick, who talks to her rather sharply and mocks her name. When Noah drops her phone, Nick's dog appears next to her. The guy finds the situation amusing and doesn't give the command, "Sit." Noah hides behind him and grabs a frying pan to somehow protect herself. Nick calls off the dog and jokingly calls the heroine "little sister." Going upstairs, he suddenly hears from her phone the voice of her friend saying that Noah has a very hot stepbrother. Finally, it's time to head out for dinner. Noah appears in front of everyone in quite an eccentric outfit. Nick examines her look with a slight smile, then smiles at her again as he drives by in his car. At the restaurant, Noah jokes about Will, introducing herself to the waiter as his new wife. During dinner, the heroine criticizes Nick for doing surfing, believing that individual sports don't require much intelligence. The guy gets ready to leave for work, remarking that the evening seems boring. Will asks his son to give Noah a ride home. Rafaela and he really hope their children will get along. On the way, Nick drives dangerously, which infuriates Noah, and a fight breaks out between them. The guy notes that it must be hard for Rafaela to have such a daughter. Noah replies that Nick probably doesn't know anything about motherly love. This hits him. He asks the heroine to get out of the car and then drives off. A guy named Mario picks Noah up. By accident, the heroine finds out from him that instead of going to work, Nick is actually heading to a party. Together with Mario, she arrives there. Noah sees Nick having fun and begins to argue with him. The guy pushes her against a jeep and jokes that she supposedly likes it, but Nick himself isn't interested in little naive girls and advises her not to tell Will about the party. Noah meets Jenna and hangs out with her by the pool. Their conversation is interrupted by Lion, Jenna's boyfriend. The heroine is standing by the pool when Ronnie approaches her to introduce himself. His friend offers her a drink. Nick steps in and knocks the glass out of Noah's hand, explaining that this guy might slip something into girls' drinks. Seeing that the heroine is feeling unwell, Nick decides to take her home. The guy carries Noah to the bed, listening to her confused words about glass, liquid, and fragility. The heroine has a nightmare in which Rafaela wakes her and asks her to hide in the closet while a man bangs on their bedroom door. In the morning, Noah wants to tell Will and her mother everything. However, it turns out that Nick sent a message from her phone saying she stayed at Jenna's to watch a movie. The guy smiles, thinking he has outsmarted Noah. During the day, the heroine relaxes on the beach and hears Nick telling his friends that glass is a liquid. Noah carefully watches him as he changes clothes. Jenna notices this and jokingly teases the heroine. In the evening, a car race takes place. Nick keeps getting distracted by Noah, which prevents him from taking the lead at first, but he still manages to win, and this enrages Ronnie. Noah finds out that her boyfriend is cheating on her with her best friend. She drinks a lot, and after receiving new photos, she kisses a stranger. Nick watches this with displeasure. The guy drives away Noah's brazen admirer and finds out that the girl did it to get back at her boyfriend. Nick offers her help. After that, he leaves her in his car, deciding to have some fun. Noah gets behind the wheel. Suddenly, Ronnie appears and tells her that she's standing on the starting line and the race is about to begin. Noah gets angry that the guy is giving her a head start and decides to race instead of Nick. Despite Ronnie's ramming and dirty tricks, the heroine manages to finish first. However, it turns out that because of this, Nick has to pay another crew $15,000 and give up his car. The guy tolerates it but loses control when Ronnie starts insulting Noah, and a fight breaks out between them. The girl covers her ears with her hands, just like she did during her parents' arguments. Jenna manages to pull her out of the crowd and bring her to the car. In the morning, Noah receives a threatening message from an unknown sender. Meanwhile, Nick talks to his younger sister, with whom he shares the same mother. Maggie worries that their mom left again and might have abandoned them. Nick comforts his sister and hugs her. In the evening, the guy returns home and sits next to Noah. The heroine apologizes about the car, and Nick kisses her in response. Unexpectedly, he pulls away and asks Noah not to let him get too close. Rafaela appears in the room. She asks Nick to talk to his father, because his absence at an important event really upset Will. Suddenly, it turns out that Noah's mother has brought Dan as a guest. The heroine asks Nick not to show himself, because she sent Dan their photo where they are kissing. Dan tries to apologize to the girl, but Nick does everything he can to prevent him from doing so. Then the guy pulls Noah into the pool and kisses her. The heroine receives a bouquet with threats. Dan realizes that Noah kissed her stepbrother and suggests talking about it in the evening. Ronnie inspects Nick's car and gets ready for revenge. Nick returns home with unpleasant marks on his face and sees Dan entering Noah's room. The guy gets angry and goes out to the terrace where, to his surprise, Noah is sleeping. Nick wakes the heroine and asks her not to walk around alone because Ronnie is very dangerous. The next day, the staff helps hide Nick and Noah's relationship. Martin pretends that the marks on the guy's face appeared when he fell near the pool. In the evening, Nick drives with his acquaintance Anna and Mario. The guy learns that Noah's father was a racer and died after speeding too much. From Anna, Noah also hears that Nick ran away from home as a teenager and lived in Mexico. After getting out of the car, Nick kisses Noah and becomes more assertive. The heroine realizes she has arrived at a fight in which Nick himself will participate. She gets angry and asks him what event caused him to express his pain so aggressively. Noah can't watch the fight calmly and runs outside. There, Mario unexpectedly kisses her, but Nick pushes him away immediately. The heroine gets angry and tells the guy she can't be with him because of actions like this. Noah admits she is scared and doesn't want another violent man in her life. The relationship between Nick and the heroine becomes very tense and painful for both of them. While working in a restaurant, Noah receives another anonymous threatening note. Nick learns that Noah's father once almost harmed her and was recently released. Rafaela didn't tell her daughter about this because Noah is very afraid of this man. While the heroine is having fun with Jenna, an unfamiliar man, the same one who previously talked to Ronnie, watches her car. Noah decides to leave the party because she is bored. The unknown man begins to get out of the car. However, at that moment, Nick appears. Jenna talks to the guy and asks him to apologize to Noah because the girl has been feeling bad for 2 weeks already. Anna locks the heroine in a closet, and Noah begins to hallucinate. She sees her father, who looks very similar to the man from the car. Nick saves Noah from Anna and puts her in the car. At home, the guy asks why Noah lied about her father. The heroine asks Nick to stay with her, and he falls asleep on her bed. In the morning, Will enters the room. The man says nothing about what he saw, but asks Nick to get dressed quickly because Maggie has been taken to the hospital. It turns out the girl hid behind a wardrobe and didn't notice the alert about her critically low blood sugar. Fortunately, everything turns out fine. On the way back, Noah kisses Nick. The heroine realizes that because of their parents' relationship, their kiss might be the last one, so she suggests spending some time alone with him. Noah lies on the beach and asks Nick never to forget what happened between them. The couple spends the whole night on the shore, cuddling and watching the sunrise. Noah again suggests to the guy that they play their night games, and Nick stops at a gas station. At that moment, Ronnie gets into the car. Noah tries to call for help, but she can't. Nick notices that the girl has disappeared. During the day, he reviews the security camera footage and recognizes Ronnie. After regaining consciousness, Noah realizes she is being held by her father, Hannes. The man calls his ex-wife and demands a ransom for their daughter. It turns out he met Ronnie while serving time in prison. Rafaela and Will wait for Hannes at the arranged location. Nick suddenly remembers that the car he lost in the race has a GPS tracker that can help them find her. Hannes hears this and forces Noah to get behind the wheel. The girl drives the car, and Nick, along with the police, begins a pursuit. Noah drives well, and Hannes even praises her for it. The man believes the heroine and her mother must be punished for the years he spent in prison. Trying to escape, Noah accidentally drives into a yacht parking area where there is no space to turn around. Hannes approaches her with threats, saying the escape is over. Unexpectedly, the heroine looks straight into Nick's eyes and starts driving right toward him. Together with the guy, Noah repeats a maneuver they once saw on TV. Nick and the girl duck in time, and the police neutralize Hannes. Rafaela hugs her daughter and thanks Nick for saving her. During the night, Nick sneaks into the heroine's room and stays with her. After that, the guy confesses his love to Noah, and she realizes that their story is only beginning. What started as attraction quickly turned into something neither of them could control. But love doesn't stay innocent for long. At the beginning of the film, we see a big party celebrating Noah's birthday. The girl is upset because her boyfriend, who is also her stepbrother, named Nick, wasn't able to come to the celebration. Together with her friend, Noah talks about the cocktails her mother is making. Jenna says they're too sweet, and the girl completely agrees with her. Together with her friend, Noah goes inside the house, where they grab some drinks. The girl thanks Jenna for supporting her throughout a very difficult year. Noah complains that she has barely seen her boyfriend over the past months. Suddenly, she notices headlights and runs outside, where Nick is waiting for her with a smile, having decided to surprise her. The parents, who step out onto the balcony, aren't very happy to see the couple. Meanwhile, Nick and Noah begin kissing passionately, trying to make up for lost time. The couple stays alone right by the pool. Nick gives her a heart-shaped pendant, and Noah promises she will never take it off. The lovers spend time together, play volleyball, and enjoy sunny days. One evening, Jenna invites them to a party where everyone gets rid of their school uniforms. Nick talks to his friend, who worries that while they're working, Noah and Jenna will be partying at college. Nick tries to reassure Lion by reminding him that they also like to have fun. But gradually, Nick begins to worry too, because distance has ruined more than one relationship. The next day, Lion decides to share his concerns with their business partner. The friend tells Luca that their garage won't survive much longer because the rent has gone up again. Near the college, Noah criticizes parents who give their kids expensive cars. But when she receives the same kind of gift from her own family, the girl simply cannot contain her excitement. She decides to take a ride with Nick, and he suggests they have a serious conversation. Nick explains that they have been secretly dating for a year, and he's tired of hiding. The boy takes Noah to his grandfather's house, explaining that this place belongs only to the two of them. Noah says she needs to talk to her mother and explain that she doesn't plan to live in the dormitory. Nick is surprised, and the girl realizes that she misunderstood him. Upset, Noah runs off, saying she's had enough contradictions for today. At night, the girl goes with Nick to a party. The boy complains to Lion that because of their conversation, he tried to tie Noah to himself, but then realized he's not ready to live together yet. The girl and her mother look at a cozy apartment and meet her future roommate, Briar. Meanwhile, Nick is doing an internship at his father's office and meets a pretty brunette. She introduces herself as Sophia and says she's already heard a lot about him. Meanwhile, Noah is relaxing with her mother on lounge chairs. The woman says that paparazzi recently photographed her kissing Nick, and they had to work hard to get that picture removed from public access. The mother demands that Noah and her brother not behave like a couple in her house. After a fight, Noah returns to her apartment a week earlier than planned, but sees that her roommate has thrown a loud party. Briar apologizes and sends everyone home, then comforts the girl. The roommate says she has met bad guys in her life, which led her to harm herself. A guy suddenly walks into the room looking for his jacket. Noah meets Michael, a psychology student. In the morning, the girl cleans the apartment and calls Nick. He lies, saying that his new colleague looks terrible and smells bad. Meanwhile, the parents of both Noah and Nick want to introduce the young man to Sophia. At noon, Nick spends time with his younger sister. Her mother arrives to pick Maggie up, a woman Nick hasn't spoken to in a long time, because she abandoned him. Annabelle tries to talk to her son and explain something, but he refuses to listen. In the apartment that her grandfather gave her, Noah tries to calm Nick down. He says that you can't simply walk away from someone you love, so his mother must not have cared. After that, the couple shares a gentle kiss and goes their separate ways. When Noah enters the bathroom, she screams that the boy left a mark on her, even though that was a taboo between them. In response, she grabs markers and draws cute little things all over Nick. After this, Noah suggests that he should see her new apartment. Nick teases her, opens the fridge looking for a sandwich, and laughs because it's completely empty. When he closes the fridge door, he freezes. Right in front of him, like a ghost from the past, stands Briar. Both Nick and the neighbor pretend they're seeing each other for the first time. Nervous, Nick tries to leave and almost drops a hanger. Briar watches his reaction with curiosity. While leaving, Nick forgets his phone, and Noah notices it right away. Lion informs Nick that he has gotten into serious trouble. His partner, who is in prison, asked him to deliver something to a specific address. Lion opened the package and found a lot of illegal items inside. Nick is upset and says his friend could have just asked for money, but Lion responds that he doesn't want charity. Lion goes to a bar where he hands over the package contents to the partner. Nick also enters the bar, and soon Noah arrives as well. The bar owner says that a certain part of the goods is missing and demands that it be compensated. As they leave, Noah starts a conflict because she behaves too confidently. The girl, along with Nick and Lion, ends up in the police station, but because of their connections, they are quickly released. Noah decides to get a pet and casually tells Nick more about her neighbor. It turns out that Briar and her boyfriend were in a car accident, after which he left her. Nick remembers something similar, but adds that the neighbor had been stalking her partner and became overly obsessed with him. The couple stays alone in the apartment when they suddenly see Briar holding scissors. The girl jokes that she can leave them alone because she only wanted to cut the tag off her shirt. Nick grows nervous, knowing that Noah's neighbor sometimes behaves unpredictably. He suggests choosing some furniture from home and moving in together. Noah promises to think about it but asks for a week to pack her things and take them from her house. At college, Noah feels confused in her own thoughts and decides to ask Michael for advice. At home, Noah suddenly encounters her boyfriend's mother. Annabelle wants to talk and reveals that Noah's mom has known Nick's father much longer than everyone thinks. Noah comes home and sees a pretty brunette next to Nick. After finding out that it's Sophia, the girl becomes very upset. Noah argues with her family and says she wants to move in with her boyfriend. She's irritated that her parents are trying to set Nick up with another girl. Noah runs away to her father's grave, since today is the anniversary of his death. Nick tries to talk to her, and through tears she says that he constantly lies because he doesn't trust her, and tries to keep his distance. Noah decides to break up with him to understand what's wrong in their relationship and figure out where she should go next. The girl invites Annabelle over to learn the whole truth. It turns out that Nick's mother wanted to get custody of her son, but she was forced to give up on that idea. Moreover, at that time, Nick's father was already having an affair with Noah's mother. Annabelle takes Nick's father's toothbrush and later gives Noah a letter for her son. The girl quietly leaves the letter on Nick's desk, but he tears it up and throws it away without even reading it. Nick arranges a romantic dinner for Noah and shows her a tattoo made in her honor. During their dance, Nick says he has to fly to London with Sophia for an important deal. After the trip, he celebrates the successful deal with the brunette and then comes to see Noah. Not finding her, Nick tries calling and then drives to her apartment. There, Noah is having a fun evening with her neighbor and Michael. When Briar goes to her room, Michael tries to kiss Noah, but the girl stands up and gently hints that the psychologist should head home. When Nick arrives, a serious argument begins between them. Noah suggests taking a break from their relationship and learns that he was offered a job in London and he has 1 week to decide whether to accept it. One day, Noah is looking through Briar's photos and notices one where she's standing next to Nick. Meanwhile, Nick and his friend, despite Noah's requests, decide to join illegal street races. To the guys' surprise, Noah and Jenna also participate in the race. During the race, Briar calls the police, reporting that someone organized illegal racing. She takes a knife from the kitchen and quietly disappears. Meanwhile, Jenna breaks up with her boyfriend because he constantly lied to her. Then Briar brings Nick's mother to the event. The woman reveals the truth. She wanted to take her son back. It also turns out that Nick's father is also Maddie's father. Nick becomes upset and angry, believing that all of this happened because of his girlfriend. He breaks up with Noah and kisses Sophia right in front of her. Breyer tells Noah that Nick has been cheating on her for a long time and proves it with several photos. Nick decides to leave with Sophia, but Leanne gets to them first. The friend tries to explain to Nick that he still loves Noah and is afraid of losing her. Realizing this, the guy returns to the event, but the girl is already gone. Nick talks to Breyer and learns the shocking truth. It turns out that during the accident, the neighbor was pregnant and lost her baby. Breyer is convinced that the tragedy was triggered at the hospital owned by Nick's family. When the guy sincerely apologizes, Breyer says that she doesn't need apologies. She needs a chance to regain her sense of justice. Nick rushes home to Noah, unaware that Breyer had already taken her keys in advance. Soaked from the rain, the girl goes to Michael, seeking support and understanding. The psychologist tries to kiss her, and Noah responds to the kiss. They slowly get closer, and at that moment the pendant given to her by Nick slips down onto the red wrinkled dress. Standing in front of the mirror, Noah looks herself in the eyes and feels a sharp pain from what happened. Meanwhile, Nick sees the girl in the rain and realizes from her expression that everything between them is over. Noah arrives at her father's grave and finds a message Nick left for her. Crying, she walks away, thinking about what to do next. Mistakes were made, trust was broken, and this time, they both have something to lose. What could be worse than traveling to a friend's wedding and, already at the airport, seeing on the cover of Forbes the face of your ex, your former stepbrother, and the man you once loved, whom you still can't forget, even though 4 years have passed? The beautiful Noah tries to drown the trauma with a huge chocolate bar. At least her fellow passenger turns out to be very charming. After the flight, he even invites her on a date, but the heart can't be ordered around. Very soon, she will meet her former love again, because the bride and groom want to reunite the couple. They have invited Nick to be the best man and Noah to be the maid of honor. Following Noah, Nick also arrives at the bride's house in Ibiza, and the girl, confused, hides like a frightened schoolgirl. Then she pretends to be lively and sociable, chatting with the guests who praise her English since she graduated in philology, even though she works at a restaurant. And once again, an awkward situation. There is yet another suitor, a man with whom Noah spent a night and never called back. Yes, this wedding is a real test for the nerves. As soon as she escapes from the failed lover, she runs into Nick. He silently walks past her with a stone-cold expression, but the bride and groom have thought of everything. During the wedding rehearsal, Noah is put into the car with Nick. They rack up kilometers in oppressive silence, occasionally stealing glances at each other. Then, without saying a word, they nervously decide whether to open the car window or not. But the trials don't end there. At the rehearsal, the former lovers are forced to take each other by the arm and symbolically walk to the altar. And at dinner, they are seated next to each other, and their tense faces soften only when they see a little child mischievously sip champagne. Suddenly, Noah notices that Nick has not removed the tattoo she once made for him. In the morning, the newlyweds, with tears in their eyes, say their vows, and the bride's bouquet goes to Noah. Why does Nick watch this so smugly? The couple keeps adding fuel to the rekindled flame between the exes, forcing them to dance together. The pair finally talk, and a few minutes later, united, passionately make love. After the emotions subside, Nick silently gets dressed and leaves. The scene of betrayal by his beloved girl is still vivid before his eyes. Life goes on. Noah returns to Marbella, receives her diploma, quits the restaurant, and spends several months scraping by with odd jobs. One day she is hit by a cyclist and goes to the hospital to have her wounds treated, where psychiatrist Michael works. He was a consultant at the university where Noah studied. It was with him that she cheated on Nick. Back then, Michael was fired in a scandal because of his relationship with a student. Later, someone reported this to the hospital as well, and now he may again receive a reprimand or be dismissed. At the same time, Nick is in London at a meeting of his corporation. He recently inherited it and wants to develop new technologies and explore virtual space. In Marbella, Noah hurries to a job interview at a company that creates similar content. A motorcyclist cuts her off and blocks her way, and she rudely brushes off the persistent stranger with a gesture. But he turns out to be her future boss, and the same charming fellow passenger from the plane. However, the boss is not offended and hires the bold girl as his assistant. So far, things at the company are not going very well. For example, a coffee dispensing robot suddenly goes crazy. It starts meowing and hurling insults. Out of boredom, Nick spends time with the beautiful Sophia. She is far from the first and not the last woman in his house. Evidence of this is women's lingerie scattered here and there. The heirs are facing financial problems, and they have to lay off employees at the Spanish office, which is run by his father. Angry people, left without pay, stage a protest, and one father of many even strikes the manager in front of journalists. Nick, watching the situation on television, scrolls through photos of Noah on social media. In the evening, he meets Sophia again. She jokes that she could see him less often so as not to build unnecessary illusions, and he suddenly proposes that they get engaged. Supposedly, it would improve his image. Meanwhile, Simon asks Noah to help him develop a company growth plan. She does an excellent job. The boss thanks her with a dinner and, overwhelmed by his feelings, tries to kiss her. However, the beauty does not want to rush into romance. In the morning, an investor is expected at the office, and Simon, once again joking around, arm wrestles with his colleagues. Whoever loses has to make coffee for everyone. While everyone is laughing, a wealthy investor walks in, and it turns out to be Nick. At the sight of Noah, he immediately frowns and gives Simon a harsh dressing down. "Do you work here, or fool around?" he asks coldly. Simon talks about the important role of his assistant, but Nick believes her place is serving coffee. After that, he rudely sends her to the kitchen. Still, Noah and Nick exchange long, studying looks. It seems that now they are enemies. In the evening, Nick tells Sophia that the new company is in complete chaos and that he will have to stay in Marbella longer. On the bright side, their engagement is already all over the news and the stock prices are rising. "We are successful together," the fiancé emphasizes, but the heir once again cannot take his eyes off Noah, feeling jealous as he watches her laugh with Simon while holding his hand. Noah confesses to her friend that she is thinking about starting to date Simon since he is kind and calm, and with Nick, she needs to turn the page. The beauty demonstratively does so right there in the magazine, but suddenly she flinches when she sees a full spread about Nick's engagement. The past also comes back to haunt her when Michael notices her with her friend. He lashes out with reproaches, saying that they only spent one night together, but her little brother was not satisfied with that and made sure he got fired. Noah did not know this. Confused, she calls Sophia, who confirms everything. Then Noah asks to leave the psychiatrist alone because it was she who was guilty of the betrayal. After that, the girl goes to the house of her mother and adoptive father, where the family relationships are very complicated. It recently came to light that Will's first wife, Nick's father, has another child by him, a little girl named Maggie. It is precisely her that the brother brings to visit, and the child immediately starts joking about Nick, asking him to bring her coffee. After all, here she is not his subordinate assistant. Suddenly, the girl feels unwell and runs to the bathroom, where she throws up. The next morning, Nick is furious and forbids any relationships at the office, even friendly ones. Simon is outraged because it is clearly because of him and Noah, but he can do nothing. The assistant warns that Nick is looking for an excuse to kick Simon out of his own company, but Simon does not care. He does not want to give up the woman he loves. They spend the night together, and in the morning it turns out that Nick has installed cameras all over the office to monitor the employees. This becomes the final straw. Noah slams her resignation letter down on the table. Nick tries to stop her, but she says that it is already too late. He could not forgive her, so let him accept the fact, especially since he himself is going to marry Sophia. Then Noah takes Maggie to her mother's house, and Nick arrives there as well. Unexpectedly, the mother tells him that she is seriously ill and wants to transfer guardianship of her daughter to Will. That is why, several years earlier, she revealed the truth about the child. In the coming days, she needs an urgent surgery, and Maggie must be taken back to her father and stepmother. Nick and Noah return with the girl, and at home he asks Noah to stay. She replies that this will only make things more complicated, to which Nick says, "It can't get any worse." They spend the night together, and in the morning Noah quietly runs away again. In the car, she bursts into tears. What kind of madness is this? She thinks. Suddenly she notices that her entire skirt is covered in blood, and she drives to the hospital, where she learns that she is already 4 months pregnant. Michael passes by, and deciding to find out her diagnosis, snoops through her medical chart. Then he informs Sophia that the date of Noah's pregnancy perfectly coincides with that very wedding night when she met Nick again. This would deal a blow both to Nick and to the election campaign of Sophia's father, and the heir himself, upon learning about the pregnancy, will immediately rush to Noah. So if Sophia does not want all of this to happen, she had better make sure that Michael is not fired. Sophia meets Noah at a party and says that Michael will not be touched, hinting that in return Noah must keep her secret. From then on, Nick and Noah are forced to pretend to be happy in the company of people they do not love. Taking advantage of the moment, the heir invites the beauty to return to work, but their conversation is interrupted by partners who come back at the wrong time. Nick pulls his beloved aside into a corner and passionately kisses her. Sophia notices this scene. Noah feels unwell, and the man in love drives her home, leaving his fiancée alone. He wants to stay with Noah, but she says that they have changed. They now have different lives, and their shared story is over. The next time they meet is already at his mother's funeral. Sophia lays her cards on the table and tells Noah about the blackmail. The girl replies that tomorrow she will leave for her aunt's place and will not return, so Nick will not find out about anything. After that, she breaks up with Simon, and Nick unexpectedly breaks off his engagement to Sophia. The former fiancé says that he is very resentful and vindictive, constantly withdrawing into himself because he is afraid of pain. First he was angry at his parents, now he cannot forgive Noah. But it is precisely now, when he is in the most difficult state, that he needs his former beloved, and Sophia asks him to find her. Nick sincerely thanks Sophia for her kindness and admits that he loves her, though not in the way she wants. The next day Michael is fired, and he is furious that the blackmail did not work. He is called to his last patient, his longtime acquaintance, who lost touch with reality after the death of her son. Meanwhile, Noah is already saying goodbye to her friends by the car. When Nick arrives, the pregnant girl irritably snaps, "Who spilled the beans?" and covers her belly with a cat carrier. She tries to run away, but the heir does not back down and suggests starting everything over, just the two of them. Noah laughs that just the two of them definitely will not work anymore and shows her belly. In response, Nick solemnly says that it does not matter who the father is. He will accept the child as his own. Noah rolls her eyes and drives away, while her friends shout at Nick that he is an idiot. "The baby is yours." Nick races after his beloved in his car, and they shout at each other from the windows. Finally, she softens and jokes that he should not drive so recklessly, because he will still have to pay child support. And she herself hurries to the family estate to tell her mother that she is going to become a grandmother. When they arrive, they smile happily at each other and walk toward one another. But at that moment, Nick is shot by a fired father of many children. The heir collapses, losing consciousness. He wakes up already in the hospital and sees Noah without a belly. It turns out that he was in a coma for quite a long time. Eventually he is discharged home, and the whole family cuddles together in bed with the newborn baby. Noah goes into the kitchen and notices that the dog is behaving nervously in the yard. Suddenly, Michael's patient appears in the bedroom with a knife and grabs the baby. The weakened Nick is almost defenseless, but discreetly presses the button to call the police. Michael attacks Noah. It was he who brought the dangerous woman with him. They are saved by the loyal dog. It frightens Michael. He loses his balance and falls out of the window. At the sound of the fall, the patient is distracted, and Noah manages to snatch the baby away. Time passes. The shaken couple finally get married, and the bride's bouquet goes to Sophia. At this point, the film comes to an end.